Oh my gosh, folks, coming up on our Finding Better podcast, we've got Ron Reich joining me. And we're going to talk about leadership, but not only leadership, but the elements that ladder up to leadership. We're talking about better self awareness, better emotional intelligence, and better relationships. And you are going to walk away with amazing insights on things you can do, not only at work, but in every aspect of your life to just make things better. It's amazing. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. And this is where we share real life personal experiences of people who have been there and done that. Because sometimes the best path to success is the one that people have already gone on, and so we share that wisdom, and hopefully you get something out of this. Everybody gets something out of every episode that you can apply to your own life as you're seeking to find better in your life. All right, today we're talking about leadership, and this is really cool because we're going to talk about leadership not only as the idea of leading people, but we're going to talk about the elements of finding better leadership because it involves finding better relationships and building relationships. We're going to talk about how to do that. It's about emotional intelligence, right? And we're going to talk about that. And most importantly, I think it's about finding better self-awareness. And my guest today is Ron Reich. And Ron has 32 years of training, development, and consulting experience. And he is focused on leadership and management development and coaching at all levels. And one of the things that he strongly believes is that for anyone to succeed, they need to know themselves at a very deep level. So we're going to talk about that because it's all about finding better. Ron, welcome to the program.
Oh, John, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. The idea of knowing yourself at a very deep level. There's leaders of all kinds. The fact of the matter is every one of us is a leader. The only question is whether we're good leaders or not, right?
Right.
I mean, we lead somebody, we lead some things, whether it be children or peers or our dogs and cats or whatever it is, right? And and so the idea is how to be a good leader, right? How to inspire people. But getting there, let's talk about the idea of knowing yourself at that deep level that you believe in. And how do
Mhm,
we get
mhm.
there?
There are so many different ways that can happen, John. I mean, truly, I think a lot of it is, interestingly, I think maybe where I'll go, and I hadn't even considered this before the show, it's popping into my head, is
Okay.
that if you don't mind, let me ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
How old do you think we are when our personalities are formed? It's over, it's done. About how old?
Three.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
Oh,
right.
cool.
It's
Okay.
about 3 or 4 years old. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I'm a voracious reader. And
Hmm.
there's an author that I like, Marcus Buckingham. He's done research, and his data indicates that indeed our personalities are formed. It's over. It's done by the time we're 3 or 4 years old. And that's how you can start to get to know yourself. I love to ask people, John, go back. In fact,
Okay.
if you want to do it, we can right now. John, if you'll
Absolutely. Let's do it.
go back, please, to the earliest memories you can think of for yourself. Your
Okay.
earliest memories.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
What did you love to do?
Oh, what did I love to do?
Yes.
I loved to play. I loved to be with my friends, and I
Okay.
really loved to always have enough money to buy them ice cream.
Okay. Okay.
Is that weird?
Ju- No, not at all. How closely do those things that you just talked about? Because what I heard, playing, interacting, I love to be with my friends, and I like to take care of people. Not necessarily even financially, even though that was what you kind of mentioned. How closely does that correlate with what you do today?
It's right on.
There you
It's
go.
right on.
There you go. And
Is it as
that's
easy
what.
as that? Are you
Oh
serious?
yeah, we're done. Thank you for having me on,
Okay,
John.
that was great. Okay, let's wrap up. No, that was
it's
that was
it's a
pretty
it's a
cool.
it's a wonderful indicator, though. It really is, of what your strengths are, what you absolutely love to do. And I mean, I don't want to beat this to death. I can validate it a little bit more. The earliest memories I have of my brother, 10 years older than I am, okay? My
Uh-huh.
brother used to love to take things apart and put things together and build things and analyze. And he loved being with my grandfather, working on my grandfather's truck and those kinds of things. What
Right.
do you think my brother did for a living?
Well, he might have been an engineer.
He was a
Uh,
mechanical engineer. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And I mean, and
seriously.
and again, it's a wonderful way to start to realize, hey, you know what? This is a big part innately of who I am and what I am. And again, where I
That
go
was
with,
incredible.
I love that. I mean, I could tell you story after story about when I've used that. And I mean, this actually is interesting, because if anybody's doubting this, I travel a fair amount in my work. I was at a hotel one day, early evening, whatever it was. I was tired, and I was like, I'm going to go down and I'm going to get in the hot tub for a little while and just unwind.
Uh-huh.
So I did. A woman came down and joined me, and her kids got in the pool. And she and I just got to talking. Somehow, some way, this came up. And I told her, I said,
Okay.
our personalities are formed by the time we're 3 or 4. I don't believe that. That's not true. No way. And I was like, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to relax. So I'm
Right,
not saying
right,
another
right.
word.
Exactly. Yeah.
Her son gets out of the pool and joins us. And we're talking to him a little bit. He's 18. And I was like, so, where do you stand right now? What's going on with you? I just graduated from high school. Where do you plan to go? Or what do you plan to do? I'm going to
Uh-huh.
go to college. What are you going to study? Music. Okay, fair enough. And I sort of gave the woman, his mom, a look, and she didn't realize what I was doing. And I was like, could you
Uh-huh.
do me a favor, talking to her son? Tell me, go all the way back as far as you can. What did you love to do as a little boy? He thought about it. And John, as I'm sitting here, I swear, Mom, don't you remember? I used to pull the pots and pans out and bang on them. And I just looked at her and I was like, that's called music.
No kidding. No kidding. That's remarkable. I mean, I keep using the word amazing, and I'm trying to that is really cool. I mean, and the thing about it is that you were it's so spot on, and it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you didn't put me into a hypnotherapy session. You didn't tell me that I needed to schedule 15 different sessions with you.
Right.
I mean, and the really cool thing about that for me is that what you said and what you identified as me as a youngster uh, is what I'm doing today and
Yeah.
is who I continue to be today.
Yes.
And it occurs to me, my wife and I were talking, we were talking the other day just about childhood friends who we're still in touch with, right?
Yeah.
And what strikes me about what you just said is that they haven't changed. Since they've been 5 years old, they haven't changed. They still have the weird idiosyncrasies. They still have the weird personality traits. They still, right? And so when you took me through that exercise and you were talking, yeah,
Yeah,
it that just makes sense.
yeah. It's really fun to do. And then what's interesting too is that as I understand it, our personalities themselves as individuals do not change much at all over time. That's what we've been talking about now. Now, I'm also a big believer in personality assessments and things along those lines for people to
Sure.
get to know themselves on a deep level.
Yep, me
I'm a
too.
big believer in the disc instrument. That's my favorite for a lot of different reasons.
In the disc instrument, meaning a a recording disc or
No,
a
I'm sorry.
drumming disc or a CD
The
disc? I mean,
yeah,
what's a disc?
the disc personality assessment, John,
Oh, okay, okay.
measures two different aspects of personality. It measures whether we are more relationship oriented or are we more task oriented. There's no right or wrong with this. Either one is
Interesting.
perfectly acceptable. And then it also measures, are we faster paced or slower paced? And once you put those quadrants together, you come up with four different styles. And again, I don't want to get into this in a whole lot of depth because we're talking
Yeah.
about getting to know yourself. The point is, the disc instrument is so scary accurate. It helps people to understand, indeed, wow, I am relationship oriented and I'm slow paced. Given that, and it lists it out just absolutely beautifully. These are the strengths that this personality type has. These are some of the limitations that this personality type has. This is how I can appear to be to other people. And again, it goes through all four of these styles, giving that kind of information. And every time I do this with people, it is such 98% of the time it's like, whoa, I never knew this about, and I don't want to say I never knew this about myself. I didn't realize that this is how I could come across to others. Or, gee, now I realize who I am. And now I can flex my style to work with people who have different preferences than I do. And just those kinds of things.
I love I do love and believe in personality tests as well, for that very reason, right? I mean, I have learned, I mean, good and bad, right? Um, so much about myself,
Sure.
when I've taken these tests.
Yes.
What did you call this? You called it the disc
It's
what?
called the DISC assessment. It's
The disc
DISC.
assessment.
Yep.
Okay.
D is dominant, I is the influencer, the S is the steady, and the C is the conscientious.
Ew. Oh, and okay, so I'm going to go on to ChatGPT and I'm going to ask about this disc assessment thing.
Okay.
But the four quadrants. So you talked about fast, slow, relationship, and tasks.
Yes.
So I take it that the four quadrants are fast relationship, fast task, slow relationship, slow task.
That's it.
That's it.
It's exactly it.
Okay.
It's
And oh,
exactly it.
interesting, interesting. What also strikes me, well, first of all, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go look this thing up
If you want me
and
to
check
take
it
you
out.
through it, John, I will.
Yeah, if it would be helpful for my audience, that would be great.
Actually, you
Or
know what? If you want to do that, that might be a good idea as a quick aside. Sure.
okay, so how long are we talking about in terms of time?
I can do it probably pretty quickly in
Okay.
45 minutes.
Oh yeah, no,
If
let's
we're
not.
gonna go through it thoroughly, I
Yeah.
probably need at least 2 hours.
Okay, so let's not do that. Okay, so
No,
you
not
kind of
now. I
give
don't mean
yeah,
now.
you
Just
okay,
another
good.
time is
Yeah,
what I
you've
meant.
given
I'm
us
sorry.
you've given us the trailer and the preview,
Right.
and you've kind of put it out there so folks can know what that is. And in a funny way, I was thinking to myself, I think that would be a really, really cool interview question, right? All right, think back to your earliest
Oh,
childhood years,
oh,
right?
I never
And
thought of that.
right to
Oh,
see
John,
if
what a yeah,
right. I mean, how
yeah,
and they won't know why unless I tell them. But I mean, if they are interviewing for a mechanical engineering job, what did you love to do when you were a
oh
kid, right?
man,
And
John, what a fabulous
but
idea.
it, but
We're
if,
synergizing here.
and then they turn out and go, my favorite, oh my gosh, my favorite childhood, uh, my was a therapy session I was in,
Right.
or fishing, or something else. I mean, it could be a little bit of an indicator, right?
Yeah,
Or
sure,
something
sure.
to go a little bit deeper on because I've always been a big believer that people do really really good work at what they love to do,
That's right.
right? When they
Right.
like what they do.
Hmm.
And so if it can be a natural fit, that's ideal. Because the other thing I believe is that because people do really well at what they like to do, figure out how to like what you do, right? But that's kind of forcing a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to someone who's interviewing for an engineering job and they come back and say, "Man, I used when I was a kid building blocks and tinkering and my Lego sets, you know,
Right.
and stuff like that,"
Exactly.
then you go, "Oh, wow, that's pretty cool," you know.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. So that just blew the top of my head off. That was cool. That was really cool. And so, all right, that is a really, really great way in terms of a self-awareness. Who are you? What do you like to do? And doing that self-assessment. I mean, that what a great tool to do a self-assessment to see to compare from where whence you've come to where you are today.
Right.
Wonderful. Um, and so when it comes to better relationships, because that's another core pillar of the
Hmm.
leadership conversation we're having right now. Um, how do you do that? And how does that self-awareness, and I may be answering my own question in a way that I don't realize, but this disc assessment that you talked about has relationships,
Hmm.
right? As
Sure.
one of the four quadrants. So let's talk about that because better relationships is really important. And having great relationships with people.
Re Again, I'll go back to the reading that I do. The
Yeah,
research on this is very clear. The better you know the people with whom you work, the more effectively you will work with them. And that's both personally and professionally. So you need to build relationships from both of those perspectives. And one thing that I love to do, and it validates the research, and it's fun for me every single time. Whenever I am going to do a session with people that don't know each other well, my opening icebreaker activity. Stand up, and I want you to start introducing yourselves to each other. Name, company, job, location. What is a passion you have, and what is something you hope to learn from this session? And it will just take about a half an hour introducing ourselves to each other and everything else. At the end of that, I always ask them, how does this help us work together over the next few days? Invariably, I'm more comfortable. I feel like we know each other. Wow, we're on the same page. We have the same challenges. We can help each other. And I was like, that's right. This is what you need to do with the people with whom you work. Because do you want to feel comfortable with them? Do you want to know what their challenges are? Do you want to be able to help each other? And again, I think one of the key aspects too, though, John, that I think it's a critical thing for me is that a lot of times people misunderstand when I say relationships, get to know the people with whom you work. Say, oh, I need to know what their hobbies are, and what's their family like. Yeah, yes, absolutely, those sorts of things. From a professional perspective, the relationship. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What do you love about your job? What do you struggle with within your job? What makes you crazy here? And you have to have though that kind of relationship has to be in place for the honesty to take place and for people to truly have a more quote unquote intimate relationship.
Oh my God. I how simple is that?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just retired 3 years ago, but I was in high tech for 40 years. And I have never, either myself or by any leader, gone through an experience where they had all of us in the group, even in a small group, learn about each other at that level and
Yeah.
ask each other those questions.
Yeah.
And
Well,
as you were mentioning those questions, I'm sitting there going, I'm going through my head, of all the people that I've known, how how helpful would it have been
right.
if I knew that stuff,
Right.
right?
Right.
Ron, you're just blowing my head off. This is cool. Um, I've always lived under the idea that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
The question becomes, how do you, and it's always been, how do you show that we care? What you just shared, is a huge step forward.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well,
just knowing who they are and showing
that's
that you
right.
care about who they are, right?
Yeah. And
Asking
I think
questions.
a big part of this too, because you made me think of something else while you were talking, John. In that,
Sorry.
no, goodness, that's what this is
Okay.
all about. This is what this is all about.
Cool.
I think vulnerability becomes a key piece too. And
You
another
bet.
way, I'm not sure this is a way to get to know yourself better. It's a wonderful way for people to get to know you better. An activity that I like to do, and I've done this with executives and I've done it with some managers. I haven't taken it down any further than that, although I think I'm about to soon anyway. What you do simply is you ask people, you give them time, of course. You need to think of a story or think of something that happened in your life that helped to shape you into who you are today. It can be personal, it can be professional, it can be something fun that happened, it can be something challenging that happened. And some of the stories that come out are phenomenal. And I'll share a quick one with you. I'm down in Atlanta a while back. I'm working with a technology company. We're helping them to
Hmm.
develop a vision statement and some other things. And I told the executive team, I want you to tell stories to each other. You have tonight to think about it. And I told Nick, the CEO, I was like, I'd like you to go first tomorrow if you don't mind. And Nick, as long as you're comfortable, I'd like you to make yourself vulnerable to your team. I will. Sure, I'll be glad to. We're meeting in his house. We're at his dining room table. The whole executive committee is sitting there, and I am too, of course. Okay, guys, story time. Let's go. Nick, you're up. Okay. Folks, when I was a little boy, I was so incredibly ambitious. I didn't get one paper route, I got two. And he went on for a little while. He said, it was so important to me to make money because what I wanted, you guys, desperately was a VCR. I wanted to get a VCR. And you know what? I did. I saved my money and I got my VCR. And after I bought it, I had $65 left. And the team is sitting there and they're like, okay, where's he going with this? And he went on, he goes, Mom, Dad, the carnival is in town. I'm 12 now. Can I go by myself? Son, yes, yes. You've proven yourself to be, mature enough and reliable. Sure, go ahead. I went. I got my wristband and I got my hot dog. And again, everybody's just kind of like, all right, what's going on here? And then, and then the tears started. Slowly at first. I got my hot dog, and then I started to play the games. And now he is crying openly. My $65 was gone in a half hour. And the guy who took my money said I was the biggest sucker he had ever seen in his life. He's sitting there. And again, the key point is, John, how did this shape you as an
Yeah,
individual?
yeah, exactly.
He pounds his fist on the table. I vowed from that moment forward, nobody will ever take advantage of me again, and especially not my money. And that's the reason I'm so flipping tight with the money at this company. And everybody was sitting there like, we just thought you were
Whoa.
cheap.
Wow.
And again, the
Wow.
bonding that can take place there where it's like, wow, now we know a big part of you. And it's no
No
longer
kidding.
that, wow, you're not cheap. This event helped to shape you into this. We get it now. So now we can talk about it more. When we're having budget meetings or whatever it might be, it's like, Nick, really? You sure you want to, you don't want to spend that money? Just whatever. There's a frame of reference.
That is really amazing because now, after, if I'm sitting here looking at this guy going, man, this guy's a cheapskate. What the heck is going on with this guy? Now all of a sudden I'm going, okay, I get where he's coming from. He doesn't want to be screwed. He doesn't want to be a sucker. So we just need to uh, justify things differently. I mean, it would give us
Sure.
a frame of reference, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, yeah. So, we've been talking about business, but the same concepts and the same kind of things that you've done with businesses can be used in people's personal lives, right?
Oh, John, I have a story for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I fin
But
I finish up a 2-day leadership class quite a few years ago with Santa Fe of Venice. We had done a personality assessment. We had talked about emotional intelligence, how to give feedback, and these kinds of things. We're finished. Everybody is, gathering their things and saying goodbye. And guy comes up to me, shakes my hand. Ron, thank you so much. I got so much out of this. I was like, oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. He leaned into me. It was something else too. And didn't want anybody to hear him. And I had an idea of what he was going to say to me. And I was like, what do you mean? He leans into me and just said quietly, he said, it was 2 days of wonderful marriage counseling. And I was like, yeah,
oh, interesting.
yeah,
So this is a
it's
business meeting. This,
applicable. That's exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh my
It's
gosh, it's
applicable
totally.
across the board.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I mean, it's about communication and it's about vulnerability and it's about putting yourself out there and it's about learning about the other person. And you just wrapped up. I mean, one of the things I always want and I always get out of every episode is something that our audience can take with them as a result of listening to our conversation and apply to their own lives and go off and do something with it without having to hire you for 3 years as a therapist, right? But
That's
they
right.
can actually take something, and this is amazing. This is amazing, folks. I mean, we're just, I don't know, 25 minutes into this, and holy cow, this has just been amazing. Now, okay, so my point, folks, is rewind, right? Go back, write down some of the stuff. I'm certainly gonna do that because I mean, some of the questions that you suggested. I mean, wow, that's very cool. You talked about emotional intelligence. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Sure.
What is it? And what is it? Why is it important? And how do we get more of it?
John, for me, And I define emotional intelligence a little differently than other people. For
Okay.
me, it's very very much about what we've been discussing during our time together here, getting to know yourself really really well. What are my strengths? What are my limitations? What are my values? What do I stand for? And being able to articulate that and being comfortable with that. And that
Starting
goes,
with your most early memory,
yes,
right?
yes,
I mean,
starting with your memories
yep.
and going back, even with the story, starts to help you with what are your values? What's important
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah.
Along the lines of too, you need to understand and figure out what triggers me. What triggers
Ah,
me? And when I can become self-aware of that, and there are lots and lots of triggers, I need to realize, okay, I'm getting triggered. I'm getting triggered. What I always like to recommend there, when I know I'm going to be about to be, I'm going to say something I'm going to regret, or I just know I can feel my blood beginning to boil. I
hmm.
like to use the acronym PRD. Very, very simply, when I'm getting emotional, I like to pause, reflect, and then decide what to do. Brain physiology shows, and I'm not an expert on this, and I'm not going to try to pretend I am. Our brains are wired. Everybody's brain is wired. We feel before we think. We have to, because any stimulus that occurs goes through the emotional center of the brain before it reaches logic. And that's the reason very often people will say, that was stupid. You did what? Road rage, those kind. What do
Yeah.
you mean my flight's canceled? You can't do that. Just those sorts of things. Pause, reflect. And when you pause and reflect, it allows the brain to get into more of the logic area. In a perfect world, what I like to try to do, if I can and the situation allows, pause, reflect. Can we talk about this later? Can we talk about this in a
Ah,
half hour? Again, whatever the timeline
yeah.
might be, to allow me to settle down and the other person to kind of calm down.
It was interesting because when you just started talking about PRD, that's pause, reflect, and decide, right?
Yes.
Um, when you said the word pause, just hearing the word pause,
Yeah.
just kind of, I just felt my body just kind of relax a little bit, you know, and it
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
interesting. And it just, yeah, right. Okay, so
I
PRD.
mean, I'll give you an example too. And again, I'll give a personal example here. Many years ago now, actually, it'll be 12 years in August, I think. We lost my mother-in-law, and we
Mm.
lived with her. Okay, and we all, Lori and her mom were very, very, very close, and I loved her. We lived with her our entire marriage. She was very, very sick. She was near the end, and we knew that. She was here with us, and we weren't sure we could keep her here through the end. Okay. Lori and I were talking about it, and we had made arrangements with a local nursing home that if we
Hmm.
need to bring her, can we bring her quickly? And they're like, oh, absolutely. I was in Manhattan working one day, had a very long day, got home. Lori and I were talking about things as we were having dinner. And she said to me, I know what you want. I know what you want. You just want to stick her in the nursing home and you want to be done with this. That's all you care about right now. And I was like, okay. She caught me by surprise. And I was like, pause, reflect. Lori, you know what? I've had a really long day. I'm really tired. Clearly, you're emotional. I am too. I love your mother. How about if we do this? Can we please table this? I'm going back to the city tomorrow. You know I get up early, so we're not going to be able to talk about it first thing. I will call you from the city before my class starts tomorrow. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fine. I get to the city the next morning. I call her. It's like, Laura, I thought about it all night because I barely slept. And she said, I barely slept either. And I was like, I think I'm changing my mind, Lori. I think we can pull this off. I think we can keep her at home. She almost laughed out loud. She goes, "You have got to be kidding me. I'm changing my mind. I think we need to put her in the nursing home."
Therein lies the power of pause and the danger of it too.
Well, yeah, yeah. You know,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
I
just
know
kidding.
you are.
That is
I know you
funny. That is funny. Yeah, and I think when you were talking about that, my son once called me. This was years and years ago. He was stuck in L.A., which is where his connecting flight was, and Alaska Airlines, all of their computer systems went down. This was a number of years ago, and he calls me up. He goes, "Dad, I have to be back in Seattle for a meeting at Amazon, and there's no way they can get me home. And all the computers are down. They're saying the soonest they can get me home is day after tomorrow." And I said, "Mike, where are you?" He goes, I'm in the line to get my, try to figure out how to get home." I said, "Here's what you're going to do." I didn't say the word pause, but I said,
Yeah,
take 3 breaths. I
right.
said, take 3 breaths, just try to relax a little bit and understand something. The only people who have it worse than you are the people behind the counter that have to deal with you.
Right.
Right? Right? I mean, they're
Yeah.
being yelled at and shouted at, and what do you mean? Just like you said, right? I mean, they're just being hammered with these instant emotional, um, uh, uh, just attacks. And so I said, "Here's what you're gonna do. You get up there and you say, 'Hey, listen, I am so sorry for what you're having to go through right now. I would not want to be in your shoes.'"
Right.
And I said, just be kind. Be kind. Just pause, reflect, and now your decision is to be kind.
That's right.
And so I said, "So tell her, listen, I know that there's probably no way you can do this, but I've got a really, really important meeting in Amazon at 9 o'clock tomorrow. If there's any way you can get me there, even if you have to route me through London," he
Right.
says, "I would really appreciate it." And instead of just saying, "Sorry, sir," like she did to the guy before him,
Right.
right? And said, "Sorry, there's nothing I could do." I mean, the guy was being a jerk. She looked at him. He said that she looked at him straight in the eye and said, "Let me see what I can do." And
Yeah.
so he called and he tells me, he says, "Dad, she got me back to Seattle. I'm being routed from LA to Dallas to Minneapolis back to Seattle, but
Yeah.
she
I'm gonna
got me
get
there."
there.
And so and that was just an example of the pause, reflect, and then decide, right? And he would
Right.
never have been able to make that decision had he not paused and reflected. And
I'm
I love that.
I'm going to add something to this only
Yeah.
because it's another very, very, very key piece to emotional
Okay.
intelligence, and that's empathy. Because that's what I heard. That's what your son exhibited in my mind.
Yes. Yes.
Pause,
Absolutely.
reflect. It's not about me, your son. It's about you, the agent. Wow,
Yeah.
this must be very, very difficult for you, dealing with all of these different people. I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
And it's true, right?
And
It's
it,
true
see,
and
and
it's
see, and
sincere.
again,
Yeah.
the key part too, though, it absolutely needs to be sincere and it needs to be
Yes.
genuine.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And a little kindness goes a long way, you
That's
know?
right.
And so that is amazing. That is amazing. And you know, everything that we've talked about, Ron, this is the first time I've had an interview where my mind is swimming. And usually I can kind of summarize everything that we talked about. but there's just so much gold in what you shared, and things that everybody in our audience can take away with this, and it all ladders up. It all ladders up to what we talked about at the very beginning. That's leadership.
Yeah.
Great leadership. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Great leadership involves great self-assessment, understanding who you are, um, uh, relationships. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And help and understanding them and caring about them, and the whole emotional intelligence of knowing what you're doing, right? And don't let your emotions get the worst of you. Um, let it be the best of you.
Right. That's right.
I mean, that's a lot. We talked about a lot.
Yeah.
That was that a decent summary? I mean,
Pretty
because
much. I think
there's a
so.
whole bunch of
That's
there's a whole bunch underneath all of that, right?
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But man, oh man, this has been amazing. And one of the things that you also talk about is servant leadership. And I can see. I'd like you to explain what servant leadership is, but I can see how everything that we talked about ladders up to that. So, what is servant
Sure.
leadership?
Simply for me, it's all about the people. It's just
Yes.
all about the people. Take care of the people. The results will take care of themselves. And that's a big
Oh my
mantra for
gosh.
me, John. I mean,
Yes.
it really, really is. I try very, very hard to stay out of the results business. And what I mean by that simply, I do whatever I can that's within my control. I prepare well, I'll do whatever I can. And then once that's done, the results are out of my hands.
Yeah.
They just are. I
You
can't
let it
do I
go.
can't Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
Yep.
and again, when it comes down to, if things are going well, man, make sure you're praising everybody, because it's not about me. Guys, great job, great job. I can't believe how well this came off. Whatever it might be, all of these different things. And when I need to give developmental feedback to people, you do it kindly, and you do it to help them, not to make them feel bad, or not, you didn't produce. No, let's talk about the behavior. Let's talk about what we can do to change that so that we can all get better.
And let's lift people. Let's
Exactly.
lift people. It's so much more fun lifting people than knocking them down, you
Right.
know? And it's remarkable. Another thing that just came to my mind as you were speaking, when you're saying good job, good job, good job. You know, families are businesses.
Yeah.
Families are businesses. I mean, you are running a business. And so if you want to take these concepts and think about them from a business perspective, guess what? You are leading your family. You are leading your kids. When you said good job, and give them that feedback, I mean, that's what your kids need. That's what everybody needs,
That's right.
right?
That's
And
right.
and so this everything that we talked about applies to life, applies to business, applies to your personal life, applies to your fun life, your social life, everything,
Yeah.
right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Gosh,
Absolutely.
this has been amazing. This has really been amazing. Um, Starting with you. And that's the best part. We started this whole thing when you said, "Okay, John, okay, let's use you as an example." And that's always a crapshoot, right?
I know it is.
And so, but what a great experience. I mean, that you took me through, and that's just wonderful. Ron, we've talked about a lot of things. This has been really, really amazing. And
Thank
I
you.
can't tell you how much I appreciate you joining me on Finding Better. Is there anything else and any anything you'd like to leave with our audience before we wrap up?
John, you've said it all. I mean, you really, really
Okay.
have. I mean, I think, the real key thing here is this is applicable everywhere, just
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And when that can become a part of your fiber, it makes it easier in every single aspect of life. It just does.
Everywhere with everyone with everything, including your pets.
Yes.
Including your dog, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
can't.
is
I
just
wish you were
amazing.
here.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
John, you know what? That I'll tell you what though. That is so true, and I'm not kidding. I love that dog more than anything in the
Oh
world,
my gosh.
and
Don't get me started. Don't
it
get
is
me
such a
started.
joy though. It is such a joy to walk into the bedroom if she's on the bed or wherever she is in the house, and as soon as she sees me, her tail starts wagging.
No, totally.
And I
Totally.
mean, and again, point being, oh, good, there he is, there he is. And
Do
you
what
know
your
what?
dog does.
I'll finish with this though, because again, you make me think of this. My wife's cousin Gerald, okay, is one of the top people at the FDA in Washington D.C. One
Mhm.
of the things he loves to do and believes in very, very strongly, and it ties into relationships, is just walking around and talking to people, getting to know them. And he shared with me, he said, I love doing this. And this was all unsolicited. I get to know them personally. I know what's going on with the projects and all this other stuff. And the point I want to make is he said to me, he goes, Ron, he said, when I'm walking around, you know what I want people to think? And I was like, what? And I had no clue what he was going to say. I want them to think, here comes Gerald. Not, oh my goodness, here comes the executive director
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Look Busy. It's like, no, here comes Gerald, the human being. Here comes Gerald, the nice guy. And that says it all to me.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And you and I have both experienced places where we've worked and we've worked there not for the money because we could make more money someplace else, but we work because we love the people. We
Right.
love the people. We love the organization. We love what we're doing. And, folks, I mean, we've talked about a lot of things that can help you be part of that process of lifting others and to make things better. And, and I'll tell you something, this podcast is called Finding Better. Um, and a big part of what we talked about is finding better by making life better for others. And, that's just a wonderful thing. Um, Ron, I'll end with this. After 40 years of being in technology, with each generation of technology, we've gotten smarter and faster and more productive. And, I believe that there is a renaissance of heart that is coming. I coined a phrase that says that goes, "We've gotten so smart, we've forgotten our heart."
Hmm.
And the kinds of things that you're teaching folks is bringing us back to heart, right? This wasn't a conversation on smarts. This was a conversation on
Hmm.
heart. And I love it. I love it. If people want to learn more about you or about what you do or connect with you, is there a place they can go to learn more about
Sure.
you?
The easiest way to do it, John, two ways. Number one, go to LinkedIn.
Yep.
And it's just very simply Ron Reich, Reich, RLB Training and
Wonderful.
Development. And John, the one thing I always say to people, and again, sincerely and genuinely, please feel free to reach out. I will happily talk with anybody. Talk with anybody, and it's not, oh, this is a sales call. Oh, I can't share that with you. I have to charge you for that. I was like, no, let's talk. If I
That's
can help
amazing.
you and we want to work together, wonderful. And if for whatever reason there is no synergy, that's okay. I'll still help however I can.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Ron Reich, Reich on LinkedIn, and you said there were two ways.
Yeah, the other way, simply Google me. Just
Okay,
Google. And
Ron Reich.
LinkedIn will come up, who's who will come up, and some other things. So yeah, feel free. I would love to talk to anybody.
Ron, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for spending this time with us and sharing so openly. My goodness, I love you. God bless you. Thank you again for joining us. And all of you out there, I love you. God bless you, right? And share this. Oh my gosh, share this with people because there are so many people out there who can get so much from what we talked about today and from Ron's experience and from his sharing. So with that, thank you again for joining us. Again, please share. That's what it's all about. We'll see you next time. Bye.